everybody. Long time no see. This is Kent with Panama Equity Real Estate, trying to bring you guys some insight into what's going on in this great property market that is Panama City, Panama. So, a couple updates for you. It's been interesting doing real estate for the last 15 years. Anyone who's ever investigated living in Panama, perhaps you already own property here, perhaps you're thinking about buying, it's always hard to get good information. So in order to form a competent decision, in order to arrive at a conclusion like I should buy at this price, or I should sell at this price, or I should get into the market or get out of the market, you kind of have to round up everything. Well, here's one more guy's opinion with the idea of sharing some actual statistics for you, because again, they're not that easy to find. So one great development in the last year and a half, 2 years, is the public registry has gotten a lot better about publishing and making accessible and organizing information in terms of recently sold properties. Yay, Panama is catching up with the rest of the world. So based on that information, and also based on sort of internal results of our current sales efforts helping buyers and sellers since 2007, here's some updates for you. First one is in the neighborhood of Costa del Este. There is a cool project called Nogal. Hasn't even gotten out of the ground yet, which happens a lot in Panama. Things take a while. A lot of times, guys, just between us, what developers do is they test the concept. They put a project on the market just to see how it does. Of course, banks require that they have a certain level of pre-sales for the developer financing to come in. We call that the interino here. But interesting case study with Nogal. Nogal is Burn. We like Burn. We sell a lot of their stuff. Their projects typically sell well. They're typically a lot, I would say 10 to 20% higher than the rest of the market. And, the nice thing about those guys is their stuff lasts. You're not coming in and buying and then having to fork out, $3,000-$4,000 5 years later to fix the pool or fix the elevator. So first stat for you. About a year ago, Nogal had units. There's only two floor plans there. Call them 100-meter, 2-bedroom, brand new, going to be ready in 3 years-ish. Started at $280K. So that's $2,800 per square meter, or about $265 a square foot. They are now at $3,600, and that is 25%. That certainly does not indicate the greater market, but small units in Costa del Este always sell well. And this project has done well. This is not an advertisement for the project. This is more just sort of like a raw data point to use to try to come to conclusions and, use your own crystal ball. Hey, we all have crystal balls here in Panama Equity if you want to borrow ours. But yeah, so there's one data point, and that's Costa del Este. That's brand new construction. Moving down the same line in Costa del Este, you've got a building called the Pearl at the Sea. And those units are big. Those units are like, I think 295, 300 meters. So about, I don't know, we'll call it 3,200 square feet. We saw those closing at the beginning of the year for anywhere between, let's call it 610 to 625K, which works out to be about $2,000 a square meter, or $180 a square foot ish. It's divided by 11. I can't always do that math quick. Those are now selling for anywhere of 640, 650 selling. Probably come on at, 680. If the closing price is going to be around 650, figure 5 to 8% around number to use when you're negotiating or at least testing the waters. It's always a function of the seller's situation, Never forget the 3 D's in real estate: death, divorce, or distress. That's how you find a deal. But anyway, so, okay, that's Costa del Este. Let's talk about rents for a minute. We just rented a unit in Zafiro, which are Same floor plan, 4 apartments per floor, two bedrooms. Some people have converted them to 315 meters. So about, let's call it, I don't know, 1,200 square feet ish. Cute building, boutique. There's only 50 units there. Really nice. We've sold and currently manage, I think like 4 or 5 in that building. Golly, I was happy to see that we had multiple offers above asking price. That never happens, or at least it hasn't been happening recently. Or better put, it hasn't happened in a while. It has happened recently. Not necessarily a trend, because I was checking in with our leasing team. We manage, I don't know, these days between, let's call it 120 properties, which puts us kind of in the mid-size range. There's some guys out there with like one whole building. But yes, Zafiro. So guys, another data point for you. 115 meters, rented out, furnished, $1,500 a month. During the pandemic, I was renting those out for like $1,000. After the pandemic, 12 to 1,300. Now 1,500. That's, every bit of 10 to 15%. So that is not necessarily an indicator. I think the takeaway on rents from January to July is they've gone up slightly, but not much. Well-priced rentals go quickly. Market price for a rental, if you're looking at buying a property and then trying to lease it out, if you purchase it, at or below market, and you rent it at market, figure 30 days vacancy is pretty fair number. We've sat on one of our units in Wanders and You, although we just dropped the price and we have 2 offers. So that's a brand new building. We're seeing 3-bedroom, unfurnished, really nice. I think those are about 190 meters. They're big, maybe 180. So almost 2,000 square foot condo with a balcony, super flash, like swimming pool, gym, all the bells and whistles in that building. That'll rent for $2,600 a month, unfurnished. Furnished, figure around $3,000. So there are some data points for you. What's driving that? Well, we've got, hey, I hope this is on. Let me know about some comments. Usually some people are chirping by this point with questions. The format we're using now, I can only see Facebook questions. So if you have questions on YouTube, I'll grab them afterwards. Always curious where people are watching from too. So what's driving that demand? Well, on the pre-construction side, still seeing a lot from South America. I want to do a separate video on what's driving demand from the United States, but it's kind of the same stuff it has been for the last couple of years. It's politics, weather, high prices, drama. I have a lot of customers that are just over it and just want to kind of separate from the US. So that's not a trend that's slowed down by any means. Also, kind of seasonality right now is when all the international schools are coming back, or at least, kind of gearing up. I know ISP, Balboa, some of the big ones, Met, etc., will be starting next month. So we're working with all the teachers right now. So that kind of drives the market, but not really. That's a little blip. But people scoop up stuff around the reverted areas. Speaking of the reverted areas, last little data nugget is we are seeing more contractors come in terms of all these mega projects. So, we got the tunnel for the metro going across the Panama Canal, the Chagres River, where it dumps out. So the canal, that attracts demand. That's going to be mostly around the reverted areas. We're working with, I don't think it's private info. USAID is setting up a regional hub for distribution of like kind of emergency stuff. That's a giant, warehouse, and that'll bring workers in. Not tremendous amount, but those little micro stories are happening all over. And don't forget, guys, Panama is tiny. Like while we say the metro population is like 1 million, no, it's like a quarter of that right in the middle of the city, right? Maybe 250 up to 400,000 people inside the city center, which is like, even if we expand to like Costa del Este all the way out to Costco. So doesn't take much to move the market. I've told this story before. I'll tell it again real quick is, when Procter and Gamble moved to Panama back in like 2007, 2008, they relocated about 1,500 families. Shoo, that popped the rents on like Balboa Avenue in Costa del Este. It was wild. It doesn't take much, 1,500 tenants in a city like Houston or Chicago or New York. Like, hey, we can absorb that. It's not going to be much of an impact on pricing. And that's why it's important to keep an eye out. And that's why it's good to listen to folks that are smarter than me. And there's a lot of them out there. But yeah, we've been at this. I've been at this since 2007. So I don't even know how many years that is these days. 27 will be 20 years. So 16 years ish. Yeah. And, we run a very, I say we're the hardest working real estate company out there. So we would love to be of service to you. That's the idea of these little blurbs that I do on the internet here. And hope this message finds everyone well. And any questions, comments? I'll stick around for a hot second, but I can only see the ones on Facebook. Oh, shoot. It's funny. Oh, okay. Yeah, I did have. Yeah, I can't see YouTube. Can't see LinkedIn. But hopefully y'all can see and hear me. Hasta luego. Y acá les esperamos. See you later, and we'll be waiting for you. Ciao.